You're with this organization and you work to improve conditions for prisoners. Why in God's name should we care about improving the quality of life for the same people who have recklessly ruined the lives of others? And I'm talking really about killers.
Because we care about ourselves. They're going to come back out, Morton. We're going to see them again. And if we take a pit bull, throw them in the cage, and kick the cage for about an hour or two, we shouldn't be surprised when they come out and bite us.
See, you're right, Carl, all right? We kick the cage. We put the pit bull in there. And what we should do is they shouldn't come out. That's the first thing. Second thing is we should kick the pit bull in the cage so hard that the cage collapses on them and kills them. Then we don't have to worry about it.
The problem with that is that they are coming out. The reality is that you're going to see them again.
The reality, because all the pablum pukers want to say, let's save these poor disadvantaged people.
Well, I don't know what reason, but we are. The statistics show that they will be among us.
All right.
And so therefore, it's incumbent upon us to look out for ourselves.
So in other words, we're going to allow them while they're in prison to intimidate us while we're outside because we know they're going to come back out and get us again.
No, we're going to show them how to apply justice to everybody in society. We're going to show them how to act. We're going to show them how to conduct each other, how to conduct themselves.
How to conduct society.
And if we show them, they'll listen. All you got to do is show them once, and they'll follow it. As far as I'm concerned, more prisoners have too many rights to begin with. I understand that in some prisons in New York State, for example, they actually have ski jumps and barbecue pits in the prison. Can you believe that? We're paying for that. I understand that pursuant to a recent court case, a prisoner has the right, the legal right, to walk around in the prison with a 4-foot-long hairdo. Now, if I went to work with a 4-foot-long hairdo, I get fired. But if I murder somebody, then I have a right to wear my hair wherever I like. I don't buy it.
Well, Carl, let me let Carl jump in here.
The problem we have with all of that is that it has no basis in anything that's real.
Well, it's real. It's a court case. They said a 4-foot-long hairdo.
Isn't there some sort of discipline, Carl, that people have to learn before they learn to be responsive to the needs of other people?
That's what we want to instruct prisoners as to how to conduct themselves in society. Number one, I spent many times in those penitentiaries you're talking about. I've never been exposed to any of this.
Did you ski?
Pardon me?
Did you ski?
No, and don't ski.
Well, you were at the wrong place.
Oh, probably so. I spent most of my time in Pennsylvania. And the things that I learned in prison was how to be brutal, how to come out here and the type of attitude that we see here today to respond to, how to react to that type of attitude, because that's what I see in all of society.
Well, you didn't come out that way. How come you didn't come out that way?
The women that is here tonight talking for John Wayne Gacy and why we don't have the prisoners.
And for some other prisoners,
and too. I was fortunate enough to come around people who reached behind the bars and said, call up church, let me show you the way.
You must have something in you. Carl, 1 second. You must have something in you.
And that's inside of other people.
Well, no. We can't spend $1 million on each one of them trying to pull it out.
He's not a murderer, all right? He wasn't a murderer. He was an armed robber.
All right. We can't.
Simple.
Simple
little thing. Simple little thing.
That's an improvement, huh? It's an improvement.
But
the thing is, we can't spend $1 million on each one of these guys or $5 million trying to pull it out.
You're spending it anyway, so why not do something? Why not just
spend it fast? Pull the zipper on them, man. Zap them.
Well, that's the attitude. That's the same attitude that they're responding to now. We have 600,000 prisoners in the country today, in maximum security facilities. That's what they're responding to. When somebody walks into a 7-Eleven and instead of walking out with the money, put 4 bullets in a young clerk's head, that's what they're responding to.
Good. If they respond to that kind of crap, then we should kill them on the spot, Carl. Kill them. Kill them. Don't let them get to trial.
And then that continues the cycle. That's a continuation of the process.
There are a hell of a lot more in us than the 600,000 scumbags who want to kill some old lady in a 7-Eleven.
One out of every 240.
Blow them away. Tell the cops, don't bring them in for trial. Kill them.
But one out of every 240 will be in that place. One out of every 240 before the turn of the century will be a convicted felon in America. Is this what we want to turn loose in society?
Carl, will we agree on this? Will we agree on this?
Kill who? Rapists and murderers?
I'd be
curious. Kill them all?
Not thieves. Not thieves.
Fine.
Also, thieves.
Well,
not
who you kill
thieves.
Chambers too? Do you kill Robert Chambers or do we let him go? Kill him too? Bang. Kill Robert Chambers?
I would be curious on this. Based on your personal experience. Would you think that the fellow who goes into the 7-Eleven and takes the pistol and puts 4 bullets into the cash register person, after he's already got the money, would you say, based on your personal experience, that more likely than not, this fellow committed some crime before and was let out of prison? What would you think? Yes or no? Probably he did, right?
My personal experience led me to participate in the progressive prisoners movement because I know.
You're evading the question.
I know people can be salvageable.
Well, let me hear his answer.
I know people are salvageable. I believe that people are salvageable.
Some of them.
But the problem that I have is I can't make the distinction. I don't know which ones.
You think of John Wayne Gacy? You think of John Wayne Gacy, and we're going to meet his fiance in a few minutes. You think he's salvageable? Do you think he's salvageable? Yes or no?
John Wayne Gacy, according to what PPM believes, has just as much right as anybody else to see what he can become. We don't know what John Wayne Gacy can become.
Wait a second.
He should be punished.
I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this because John gave this interview. This was part of his confession. John said he grabbed the boy in his huge hands, flung him hard against the wall. When John moved forward, the boy kicked him in the stomach, doubling him over. "I'll kill you, you son of a bitch," John heard himself say. He was on him then, straddling the boy's chest. He was banging his head on the floor. The knife was in John's right hand, and he saw it plunging into the boy's naked chest. There was blood, hot and slippery, and it felt to John like some strange and violent form of sex. There were some incomprehensible sounds. The splat of the knife, the scream of pain and fear, the awful guzzling of open chest wounds. When the boy was finally still, John rolled off his body. "I felt exhausted," he said. His pants, of course, were covered with blood, but John noticed something else. The ejaculation he had been an involuntary response. But the power of the orgasm numbed his mind. That's when I realized that death was the ultimate thrill. So why not give that son of a bitch the ultimate thrill and kill him? We'll be back in a minute.
I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside.
If you could help just one child, if you could change just one life, would you do it? Through Foster Parents Plan, you have the power to lift a child and family out of shocking poverty. And for so very little, you can help them have life-saving food and vaccines, clean water, schooling, and above all, hope. All it takes is $22 a month, just 72 cents a day. When you call, we'll send you your foster child's picture and personal story. Through regular progress reports, you'll see a life transformed, and you'll feel a part of it through personal notes and drawings. Help a needy child discover a truly great love. Your love.
Okay, I know your kind. You waited till after Christmas to see if you could get an even better deal on a waterbed. Well, Sun Valley's got your number. Right now, hundreds of items in our showrooms are marked down for tremendous year-end savings.
What has your relationship with John Wayne Gacy been? What has he told you about the murders? Do you think he's guilty? Is Russ Ewing a liar? There's a whole bunch of questions there that you can expand on in your own good time.
Okay, I started going to sing about 2 years ago. And, I mean, you know, he didn't trust me. He doesn't really trust anybody. And so I think I visited him once or twice. Then I didn't see him again for about 6 months. And I started going back there, and I was asking him questions.
Well, why did you go visit him in the first place?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because there was a piece in the paper about some bodies that I wanted to go ask him some things.
About the bodies.
Right. And
so you went and saw him. He let you come in.
Yep.
Did you write him a letter first and ask if you could?
Yeah.
Did he answer that letter?
Yeah.
Say he'd look forward to seeing you?
Yeah, but he told me if I was anything to do with the news media, he didn't want to never, to go to hell.
Okay.
Straight
so
out.
You told him you didn't have anything to do with the news media?
That was true, yes.
Tell him you had a little boy of your own?
I told him I've got 4 boys and 4 girls and grandson and granddaughter.
Mm-hmm. And when you went to visit him the first time, was he friendly? It must have taken a few times, huh?
No, not really. He wasn't friendly at all. He was just real suspicious. You know, thought maybe.
Did he tell you anything about the murders?
Yeah, he talks about it all the time.
Well, what's he say about it?
Oh, well, let's see. He just said that there was 12 sets of keys to the house, and he had a set of the keys, but he traveled all the time in 14 different states, and that he didn't know who put the bodies under the house.
He didn't know that.
That's what I asked him, and I said, "What about the smell? You know, didn't you notice that?" Nah, he said, "We got some kind of sewer backup or something. I don't know exactly what it was." But I just asked him all kinds of questions. And I mean, I'm not dumb. I'm pretty smart when it comes to that.
Did you believe him?
That's why I was there.
Did you believe him?
I know what I'm doing. Did I believe him? I'll tell you what. I watched Charlie Manson on TV, and John Gacy has a different style than Charlie Manson.
I'd say so. John Gacy does his own killing.
Gacy, yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? Gacy
Well, that's what they say, but you're closer to them than any of us. Do you believe he committed these murders?
I guess until he's proven innocent, I'd have to say yes.
And yet, would you still want to marry him?
I don't want to marry anybody. I never said I was going to marry anybody.
Why did the newspapers say you? How'd that story get out?
Why? I don't know why the newspapers say all the things they do.
You want to have sex with him?
Of course not.
Would you have sex
No.
with him if you had the opportunity?
Nope.
Why did you bring your little boy out there with you? to
Why?
visit? Is that a place to bring a little youngster?
Well, I figure this way. My kids know the kind of work that I do.
What kind of work do
And-
you do?
And
What kind of work do you do? Go ahead.
what kind, you want me to tell you?
You said when John Wayne Gacy found this out tonight, he was going to kill you, so tell me.
No, he's not going to kill me, but he just don't like me.
Tell us what kind of work
Okay,
you do.
I kept going to see him. I kept going to see him. He said, "What do you do at night all the time?" Because that come out in the Sun Times. I sit around at night, lonely and tidy the kitchen. It's not that way at all.
What do you do at night?
I work with the police, and I bust people that sells coke. And when I tell John Gacy that, I mean, he flipped out.
Are you an informer?
An informant?
Mhm.
Well, no. Informant would be like you just call in on people.
Are you undercover for the police?
I go undercover, wired up.
Do you carry a
um,
badge?
No.
You don't
No,
carry
I
a
go
badge?
wired up. I
Are
got
you
like,
paid by the police?
yes, I got like 43 people just in our hometown, just on the side, you know, not
Hometown
even
of
trying.
Centralia?
Yes. It
Why
was
do none of the
biggest
police
drug bust in
officials?
Marion
Why do
County
none of the
history.
police officials in that town know of you?
why don't they know of me?
Mhm.
Well, every one of them know me. I know the FBI, the DCI, I know everybody.
Are they trying to protect your identity by saying that they know nothing of your activities for the police?
No, I mean, I don't understand what you mean now.
Well, I took the time to check in Centralia today, and they knew nothing of Sue Terry doing any
Centralia
work.
Police?
Doing any
Well, no,
work.
I didn't work with Centralia Police.
Oh, you didn't?
No, they didn't even know about it.
Oh,
For
another
instance-
police department from where you live.
No, it's not a police department. It's like a division of criminal investigation. It's like 60 miles from where I live.
Mhm.
They came into town like, okay, like for instance, one night we was out in the park and I was going to make a Coke buy. And the next day, this guy I was going to buy the Coke from, he come up to me and he said, "Sue, we checked the plates out on the car you were in, and it was a state police car." And I told the police this, state. They said, "No way, Sue." And so I told them, the name and everything. And I said, "Does that ring a bell?" And they said, "Yeah, one of the cops here
So
in
you were
town."
really trying to get information for investigative officials on John Wayne Gacy,
Not with the Centralia Police, though.
but for other law enforcement.
For myself, because I talked
For
to
yourself,
them.
you were working for yourself.
Well, no, not. You know what I
weren't working
mean?
for the police.
Yes, I've worked with the
But
police.
you said you were doing it for
I got
yourself.
43 people.
Which was it? Were you doing it for yourself?
I
or
was
were you
doing it
the
for
police?
myself, too. I went to see Gacy to see what kind of person he was.
Why did you do that? Was that
Why?
somewhat of a thrill to you?
No, no, not hardly.
What did you expect to gain from that?
What did I gain? Really
Professor
nothing.
Mendenhall, has John Wayne Gacy ever mentioned this lady to you?
Yes, you mentioned it. She is
What
one
are his
of
feelings about her?
she's one of about, I think it's 178 persons that he corresponds with regularly.
Do the other 178 come out and visit him?
I don't know. I've never checked on
Do
that.
you
I
did
don't
you
know.
check to see if she has ever visited him?
Yes, she's visited him.
She visited. Do you know how many times, sir?
I don't know how many.
Would you say 10?
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
How many
You know
times?
more
About every Monday for about 7 or 8 months, I went down there.
Every Monday for 7 or 8 months, meaning you visited him some 39 times. All right. What was your last marriage like?
Well, well, Jeff, he was, really bad. I haven't seen him for.
Bad in what way?
Well, he abused me a lot.
How do he abuse you?
Well, when I had my last baby, he beat me real bad. I had to have my baby in cesarean and delivery room, and just.
Did you leave him, Sue?
Yes,
Did you leave him or he leave you?
I left him.
Sweetheart, can I ask you a question? Are you lonely?
Am I lonely?
Yeah.
No.
Are you lonely enough? Are you lonely enough? And I'm not putting you down, all right? This is no put down. Are you lonely enough that someone like a John Wayne Gacy could be exciting to you?
No.
If he got out of prison tomorrow and said, Sue, I didn't do those things. I've talked to you about it. You know I didn't kill those 30 boys. I didn't plunge the knife into their chest. I didn't ejaculate when their blood came out of their chests. If he told you he didn't do those things, could you love him?
No.
We'll be back in just a second. Teresa Saluri, is that correct, Teresa? How are you tonight?
Just fine.
Now, Teresa, you're in love with a man serving a life sentence for murder, yet you are still married. Would you tell us how that came about?
Sure. In December of 1982, my husband slipped on an icy sidewalk, hit the back of his head, and sustained a severe head injury. He was comatose for about 3 months. And at that time, we had to transfer him from Youngstown, Ohio to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for the rehab facilities. In that time, I met one of his nurses. She befriended me, and I knew she was married, but I didn't want to ask why. I'd never met her husband. And one day she asked if I'd like to meet him. And he was incarcerated at State Correctional Institution of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked me if I would call out a man whose family was out of state that never got any visits. And I said, sure. And I was scared to death. I'd never known anyone incarcerated before, never had any experience at all. Well, I called this man out and I met him, and he was well educated and he was very nice and he came from a good family. And I never had any intentions of going back a second time. But
if I understand now correctly, your husband by this time had come out of his comatose state, but was indeed a vegetable.
Right. Right.
So he was bedridden.
Right. And at that time also, he weighed about 110 pounds and he's 6'1". And that's what happens after being in intensive care for a prolonged period of time. So how many times
did you visit this young man?
Well, I've been visiting him now for almost 5 years, once a week.
Has he got any chance of getting out on parole?
He has a post-conviction in right now. It's a type of an appeal. Mm-hmm. And it's very possible that he will get a new trial.
Why are you in love with him?
I don't know.
Is it, do you feel an empathy, a sympathy? Is there,
no.
Does he play on your feelings?
No, he never did that. Never.
Do you see in him something that could have happened indeed to you or to anyone else?
Yes, all for the grace of God. It could be one of my brothers, because the circumstances surrounding his arrest, he killed a girl. He shot her in the face. He picked up a gun that he says he didn't know was loaded. He was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. They had been...
What kind of drugs?
I guess pot, and that's about all I know. But mostly alcohol. They were drinking all day.
How old was he?
He just turned 22 when this happened.
Had he had any prior convictions?
No.
He had never been in trouble before?
No. No. Well, he was a bad boy, I guess, or else he wouldn't have had a gun in the house and been drinking and doing drugs. Mm-hmm. But if it wasn't for him, I truly don't know if I would have had the strength to fight for Sonny, my husband, as hard as I did. He pushed me and pushed me when I had no more strength. He encouraged me to bring him home to live with me.
Is he home with you?
Yes, he is.
Is he living with you?
Yes, he is.
What would you do if your fiance were, well, if this man that you do love, mm-hmm. if he got out of prison and he asked you to marry him?
I really, at this point, I don't think so, because I truly don't know him as a person. I know him on a 3-hour visit once a week. Mm-hmm. I would have to get to know him.
If you wanted to marry him, would you still insist on taking care of Sonny?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think about prisoners' rights? Do you think prisoners should be able to have conjugal visits, sex in prison?
Well, with what Carl said, it would cut back on a lot of the animalistic homosexual acts that do occur.
How do we know it's never taken place here, and yet it does take place in Mexico, where they have conjugal visits? And according to my sources in Mexico, some of the worst prisons for homosexuality are in Mexico. So,
I don't know
so
the
how are we saying that
statistics
this
there.
cuts back? It hasn't in Mexico.
I don't know if it would.
If they would allow conjugal visits, do you think enough of this young man that you go in and have conjugal visits with him? It's a gutsy statement.
Yeah.
It's a gutsy statement. I want to talk to the audience. I want to talk to you at home. We're going to hear about the victims who have no rights from their parents, all right? The parents of murdered children are with us tonight. Stand by.
Could you have an ulcer? Have you had stomach problems for more than 4 years? Do antacids relieve your pain? Is your pain between your breastbone and your navel? Is your pain more frequent in winter? Does your pain wake you and go away when you eat? Then you might have an ulcer and may be eligible to join a research study investigating ulcer drugs. Qualified participants receive a physical exam, EKG, and physician consultation, all at no cost.
Call Biocraft at 1-800-88-ULCER.
World Healing Day. Imagine the power of peace together.
Money, cars, diamond rings. I had it all. I was a leader in my organization, and I'm not talking to Boy Scouts. I didn't get to where I am today by doing good deeds.
Now, we've strayed a little bit in this program, everybody. We've gone from prisoners' rights, should they have any, and we've defined various kinds of prisoners. Obviously, the slime ball, dirt bag prisoners like John Wayne Gacy. This other young man who a murderer, yes, but probably not as sleazy as Gacy. And we're looking at prisons that in some cases, if we've heard, have ski jumps in them, all right? Basketball courts, libraries, cafeterias, colored television. I mean, hell, it sounds like a country club in many cases. How about the victims, all right? Think of people whose children have been murdered.
All right. My daughter was 24. She was murdered, 1983. She was hit in the head with a hammer. She was stabbed 32 times. This happened in Clifton. He took her to Mountain Lake, Clifton, New Jersey. There, her boyfriend did it.
Her boyfriend did it?
Yes.
Was he on drugs?
Yes.
Crack? What?
I don't know, drugs, and then they were drinking that night.
They were
that
both
happened.
drinking?
Right.
Was she on drugs too?
They said she was, but I don't know.
Okay. But whatever she was on, there was no death penalty for being on drugs at that time. So.
Right. All right. Then he wrapped her body in the blanket and he dumped her body in Mountain Lakes. And they only found her because he had forgotten to take her rings off her finger. And because nobody knew who she was, because he had cut her hair and nobody could have recognized her. Because when they ran a picture of my daughter in Sunday's paper, I did not recognize my own daughter.
You didn't know it was your daughter?
No, I didn't.
How long was it before you knew it was your daughter, sweetheart?
About 5 days later, they notified me. They got in touch with me.
What happened to the killer?
He's in prison now. He pleaded guilty, so he was sentenced to 15 years, but he's going to be out in 2 years.
15 years.
Right.
15 years for murder, which I'm assuming they say now was third degree or second degree or,
Right.
or first degree manslaughter or something.
Correct.
What do you think about prisoners' rights? What do you think his rights are?
He shouldn't have anything, because we don't have any rights.
John Lanham, may I go to you, sir? John, I believe you lost a youngster also. Is that correct?
I lost a son that was 21 years old, and his brother, who was 23, was shot 5 times in the same incident.
Two
Two
sons?
boys.
What was the incident, John?
These 2 boys were in a bar out in Eastport, New York, eastern Long Island. The 2 perpetrators had gotten together in the Florida State Penitentiary. After getting out of the Florida State Penitentiary, they drifted north. One of the perpetrators was from that area. They came into the bar that night and deliberately tried to instigate trouble. When they did instigate, not a fight, an argument in which nobody participated, one of them quietly slipped out the door, came back in with an automatic weapon. My 2 boys were both declared heroes by the state of New York because the actions they took that night possibly averted a massacre in that bar. The 2 prisoners are today in the Attica State Penitentiary. One of them got 18 and a half to 40. The other one got 42 and a half to 70. In order to have this accomplished, the night of the shooting, the prisoner that got the longer sentence was arrested. His partner, who came from a wealthy family, was not arrested. We had to bring our own attorneys into Suffolk County, Long Island, and challenge the district attorney.
Who was the district attorney at that time?
Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry, still the district attorney?
Yes.
So when Patrick Henry, the forerunner of that man, said, "Give me liberty or give me death," he didn't know anything about liberty, did he, when it was taken away from your son by death?
No.
The victims don't have any rights. do they?
Victims don't have any rights because that night, the night of the shooting, I was notified in the city of New York. On the way out to eastern Long Island, I was stopped by a Suffolk County policeman. And he issued me a speeding ticket, although he should have known that I was the father of one boy who lay dead in a hospital, and I was rushing to the hospital to make decisions with the medical staff on the other boy's life.
Prisoners' rights, should they have any? No. We'll be right back.
So tell me, how long before our TV's fixed?
Look, mister, we don't fix them ourselves. We got to send them somewhere else, so could be a while.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again. Some sunny day.
Getting service from most appliance stores can mean a long, painful separation. But Highland has its own service department, so you can count on Highland to fix it fast. At other places?
Well, we still have a radio.
And I know we'll meet again.
Hope that doesn't need to be fixed.
Sunny day.
Friends, you have to hurry. Our after Christmas sale is going on for 1 week only right here at the giant Viking Chevrolet in downtown Friendly. And
I'm one of these parents who graduated from being a parent of a missing child into a parent of a murdered child. My daughter lay out in a slab in a morgue out in New Mexico for 4.5 years. And
4.5 days?
4.5 years.
Years.
And I didn't know about it. And I had to learn about it by accident. And really, I'd like to ask Black man a question about rights. I'm sorry. I can't remember I couldn't remember your name. I'm sorry. And really, it's about rights. I mean, exactly. You go through what I've gone through. I admit to having problems. Well, daughter was missing all this time.
Make it quick, sir. We've only got a minute to go.
Divorce and so forth. I have, through the Violent Crimes Compensation Board, I'm trying to get counseling for my wife and I because we're both having severe problems. We can't get it. I mean, we can't get.
We only have 30 seconds. I am as compassionate for your people as I hope you will be for mine. My father was kicked to death on the side of a sidewalk. His killer got 2.5 years in Gradyford, Pennsylvania. My aunt was stabbed to death, raped, and her killer was never found. So from your point, I really understand where you're coming from. My only point is, where do we stop? Where do we begin to really have some intelligent dialogue?
Let me give you a little solution here in the 15 seconds we have left. Is this possible that those heinous murderers never see the light of day, that they fry, and that those other criminals who have a chance of being brought about, they be thought about with some prisoners' rights, all right? Hard work first. Good night, everybody. Good night.